only wants you to make good beer and have fun hanging out with your friends. Here's Dono.
Today I'm continuing my efforts to actually brew beers that I intentionally want to brew instead of just MacGyvering beers. Chip lent me this book, Brewing Session Beers by Jennifer Talley, and she was a brewer at some Utah brewery, which you might know has a limitation on alcohol percentage, or it did. I don't know if it still does. So the whole point of the book is brewing beers with really good flavor and balance, but that are not as high in alcohol. And also, as we've been discussing, brewing beers with lower alcohol is kind of a thing of interest for some people. I just made my Grodziskie, and then this is kind of a second one. I made notes of maybe like 4 or 5 in this book that I wanted to look at, and this was one of them. A brown ale, OG in the 1040s. This is what I got for the malt. The 5 pounds, 12 ounce, I just up to 6 pounds, just make it easier, but I do have 2 pounds Munich, 1 pound of caramel 80, and 40 grams of dehusked roast barley, Carafa 3 Special. And it is a nice brown color. As the hops, you can see there's just sort of like small additions of Cascade and Chinook here on brew day. But it looked interesting, and I will say the wort tasted quite delicious. I mean, it tasted a lot more interesting and flavorful than the Grodziskie wort, which was only 10:30 after boil. So pre-boil was probably 10:22 or 23 or something. So starting to bring this excess amount to boil here. Here are my hops for today that will be split up and divided. Now, it did call for London ale yeast for a brown ale, which makes sense, but I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not a huge fan. And you know what? It's my beer, and I'm just going to use this dried yeast. The boil is starting to, well, it may not be boiling yet, but out in the garage, it should be getting to a boil soon. So we shall hopefully get a 4 to 5% alcohol beer out of this. Well, this is still coming to a boil, so I thought maybe I would do a quick garden update. About 2 weeks ago, exactly 2 weeks ago, I put it in, but then we had 3 or 4 days of rain, and then we had a few hot days, and then we had 3 or 4 more days of rain. So that's been a bummer, but anyway, the sunflowers are coming up, and this is this cherry tree thing, but it's more like, you can see like all of these multiple, what, trunks? I don't know what's happening with this thing. And this patch hasn't done the best. The most obvious thing that you can see that did come up despite the weather is these radishes. There should be a bunch of carrots in here, and actually, now that I think about it, yeah, so so here's some carrots. This is a cucumber. Those are cucumbers. So some of the stuff is coming up, but it has taken twice as long. These are just some store-bought tomatoes. Now my beans have also struggled, and you know, really for me, my main thing, okay, so there's a bean plant. My main things are the beans. There's one down there, and there's another one. Is the beans and the tomatoes. That's what I most enjoy. So I might replant the beans because I have plenty, and there's plenty of time. I got some basil, dill, and cilantro here, and my volunteer lettuce is there. And then speaking of volunteers, my friend asked me if I wanted 3 clones that he had. So I had them indoors. I tried hardening them off a little bit, and then I figured, you know what, I don't want these things indoors all summer. So they're out here. Now here's some peppers. There's like 12 of those, jalapeno, green peppers, more tomatoes. little guys, and they kind of struggle in this area, but we'll see. I do the tomatoes in 3 different areas just so I can hopefully get some. Okay, so here's a couple more sunflowers. That one's kind of tipply-wipply down there. So anyway, those are fun if they come up. And then finally, here's, these is weird because this place doesn't get like a super lot of sun, like this side of the house, because this is facing south. But these tomatoes usually do reasonably well over here. So anyway, that's that, and I better go check on the boil. I'm glad I came back here because she was boiling with the lid on, which I do not like, but it did not make a big mess like sometimes. So here is half an ounce, not half a gram, 14 grams more or less of the Cascade. What else I was gonna say, you know, when I pull the lid off, I just get hit with a really nice rich caramel, toasty, kind of nutty, just kind of warm, sweet flavor from this wort. And I will say the first runnings really did taste nice. I like this malt bill a lot with a little bit of the pale malt, but then like that much Munich, and also the caramel, and then the little bit of whatchamacallit, dehusk 3. So I think that like that's sort of the point that Jennifer makes, is making these beers interesting, you know, not necessarily overly complex, but just even though it's low alcohol, you can still make it interesting and flavorful and balanced and drinkable. So we will see if that is how it comes out. Alrighty, we are at the end of brew day. Now this is looking like it's about 1050, which is just a few points higher than I expected, especially with just 9 pounds of grain. But remember, I did all that boiling down. And because of all the boiling down, I got a little under 5 gallons. So what I did is I added 1 quart of water, which off the top of my head is about 1/20th or 5%. So I'll do the math, but if it's 5% of 1050, that's 2.5 points. So that would mean it would be more like 1047 or 1048. So yeah, I'll do the math and I'll get an adjusted correct original gravity based on, like I said, how much I had in there, and then the dilution I did. But yeah, that's actually a lot of points for 9 pounds of grain, and I did measure it and it was correct. So but yeah, that's good, and this yeast will hopefully kick it off, and hopefully I'll be keeping it in the 60s. Good enough for a dyno joint. That's what we always say. Alright, here's the Session Brown, Session American Brown. That's the other thing that I didn't maybe tell you guys before we got rolling, is it is not like an English. Take 2. It is not an English brown. It's supposed to be American brown. So hence the Cascade and the Chinook. I didn't do the IBUs, but you know, it doesn't drink like it's overly bitter or hoppy, but maybe it, I mean, hopefully there's like a little bit there. Brewed May 31st. You know what's funny? The beginning of the video clips for this, I was doing I just planted my garden, so I'm doing like all this panning of like all these tiny little garden plants, and now I've got like, you know, the bean plants are 8 feet tall, and the sunflowers 10 feet tall, and the other plants, you know what I mean? Like, it was like a long time ago now. Anyway, brewed May 31st, kegged June 11th. It is now like August 9th or something. So, almost 2 months in the keg. It's been around a minute. 1047 to 1011. I made a note that I mashed it a little bit higher, up to 155, so it wouldn't go down to like 1008. So I'm happy enough with the 1011. So yeah, do we like this beer? What about the is it American enough? Do we want it like more American? What do you guys think?
I think it's American enough. I have a more of a, I don't think it's imperial compared to this, but like stronger version of American Brown Ale that I really like. Which maybe if you were to hop this anymore, I think it would kind of throw it out of whack a bit.
Could
Like
be.
I get the little bit of the Cascade and the Chinook, but it's matching with the right. There's like a subtle roastiness.
strength.
Yeah.
It's really well balanced.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree with Dustin. Wouldn't want more hops. You
Okay.
can pick them out.
Okay.
You can identify all the component malts. It's harmonious. Resident low ABV ale apologist. I also love the strength on this.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. You have made some of those beers over time.
Mhm.
You've kind of made the bitters and
Yeah,
the medium to medium low strength.
love them.
So
Yeah.
how,
Needs more brown ales like
yeah.
this.
How does this compare to like a dark mild? Like it's to me it's
Well,
a
that's
lot
a
hoppier.
good question.
Hoppier, clean
Yeah.
yeast, right? We were
Yeah.
talking just before you started rolling about using USO5 in this versus an English strain, which would have a lot more esters, probably some diacetyl,
Mhm.
and beef up the body. So,
Mm.
right, like this is pretty dry, even though it's got a lot of viscosity in the mouth, and it's got
That's a good point.
some nice malt flavors, but it doesn't stick around and linger. Like
And I'm glad it
it
didn't
leaves
go.
you wanting more.
I'm glad it didn't go lower. Also,
Mhm.
Yeah.
that would have been against the positive effects of what you're saying of having like
Yeah.
you know some kind of malt character and it is like dry-ish, but you wouldn't want it like too much more dry.
No.
I wonder the caramel 80. I mean, would that have given it kind of like some burnt toasty notes, like a little bit, not as much as if it was like Crystal 120 or however high they go, but you know that's a little bit of that. And I mean, I probably didn't get a whole lot of flavor from the 40 grams of the DHUS 3.
Just like that little roasty edge.
I
like
mean,
Dustin was
that
saying, right?
stuff is not flavorless,
And a
but
lot of
it's
color.
not super
Mhm.
flavor.
Right.
Oh yeah.
I think that's
Yeah,
what
it's-
really like drops it down.
It's kind of a like deep red.
Mhm.
We were saying if you put it in a pint glass and weren't holding it up to the sun, yeah, it would look brown. But it's, I'm not gonna complain about the color, but you know, it's like kind of like really dark red.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like this. So we were talking off camera. The Grodziskie was 3% alcohol, and when I drank it, I just wanted something a little more. I wanted a little more of a beer punch. If I'm drinking a beer, I wanted just a little more oomph. I mean, I can drink an NA beer or a seltzer, like just sparkling water, and they are what they are, so I have expectations. But if I'm drinking a beer, the Grodziskie was just confusing to my brain. But this is like a beer. I mean, this like reminds me of a beer. That's what I want to get in my, to enjoy when I'm, you know, quote unquote drinking a beer, I think.
Grodziskie's in that nice, like, low ABV slot, right? For non-alcoholic or alcohol-reduced conscious drinkers. But like, it's got a lot of other flavors that are sort of challenging or like outside the scope of what you consider like beer, right? It's smoke, it's
Light
got
small
weed.
character, yeah.
Mhm.
I think I have no problem with smoke flavor, and you know, but it just was just
Too slight.
just too slight, too light and too slight. I like a little oomph in my girls. My beers. Did I say girls?
I didn't hear it. I was enjoying this Session American Brown.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
Wasatch Premium Brown from Session Beers. If you have an interest in these types of beers, it was a decent book to review. I borrowed it from Chip. You can, you know, check it out if you have a mind to do that.
Or also borrow it from Chip.
Yeah, I'll lend it to you, no problem. Alright, well, I think that'll do it for this. Cheers. We got another beer to sample. Thanks for watching. Catch you later.